Introduction of members, starting with
Nick Campion.
Valerie Fanger.
Dave Short.
Keith Whitehouse.
Kyle Welch.
Connor Madison.
Turp Matera. Dan Shortran, Select Board.
Kristen Murphy, Town Conservation and Sustainability Planner.
All right, any public comment?
Mr. Chair, may I make a public comment?
Does he have to step down, or?
Just for a second here.
Okay.
I'm trying to, I know many of us share a passion for public lands. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing this. So I'm trying to raise some awareness about the empty lot on 23 Water Street, which is going to be Pearpoint Park at some point. And wanted to just say that we're working towards getting that open to the public, hoping that that's going to come to fruition. I know that personally and professionally, a lot of people have to do with recreation and you know, scientific things have to do with the river. I wanted to answer any questions people might have had about that, or maybe take some input from people who know much more about, you know, riverfronts than me. Anybody?
They've selected a design, correct?
Yes. A design concept. So
Concept.
they now need to get approval for money for an actual design.
Okay. Got it.
So just trying to raise awareness. I feel like it's kind of laying fallow for a lengthy period, nearly 2 years now. And if we don't wind up with the money for a design or the actual park itself, we will be sort of watching it lay fallow further. So I'd like to get that opened up. You know, again, public lands shall be open to the public. That's, I didn't read that. And I know you guys do too, so I thought I'd bring that up. Don't want to take too much time on that, but I want to keep that in the forefront of
Do we
people's minds.
anticipate it in the budget this upcoming?
I hope so, but I know the budget is very tight, very, very tight this year. There's been some big increases and everybody knows about those, so if that doesn't happen, we still, you know, have a donor that wants to get that going, so.
Okay.
Thank you, and now I'm back in.
All right. Thanks for the update. Next, we have a major impact standard dredge and fill wetland permit application for 28,418 square feet of permanent wetland impact and 875 square feet of temporary wetland impact for Dade Auto Holdings at 146 Portsmouth Avenue for a commercial auto dealership located at tax map 51-1.3-3, 3-4. There is going to be a presentation from Cindy Balsius from SRE, but I'd like to just quickly read this summary that was put together of how this has evolved and how we've gotten here. The applicant was before the board on December 13th, 2022 for conceptual review. A wetland application was submitted and the applicant was scheduled to attend the August 13th, 2024 meeting, but requested postponement. Given the response window, the commission discussed the application and sent a letter to New Hampshire DES on 8/15/24 with our concerns. On October 8th, 2024, the commission conducted a site walk and discussed the project. Ms. Balsius, I'm sorry if I'm butchering it.
No, it's pretty close.
Indicated she would ask for a 2-day extension to accommodate the November meeting, and would return with answers from the project engineer and property owner. The commission sent a letter to DES supporting the 2-day extension, referencing a letter on 10/15/24. On November 1st, Ms. Balsius indicated by email they would not return until December or January. In August 2025, DES indicated the applicant has requested an extension and inquired if the commission discussed the project. Surprised by this, I, meaning Kristen, spoke with the chair, and we provided a letter detailing the concerns the commission expressed during the October 2024 meeting. Letter written on 8/29/25. Ms. Balsius indicated they would provide their response to the request for more information. So they were tentatively scheduled the project for October 14th, 2025 meeting. Kristen did not receive the info from Ms. Balsius until after the agenda was set and meeting packets provided to the commission. She called Ms. Balsius and she agreed to attend the November 12th, 2025 meeting. The chair sent a letter to the state informing of this. This was done on October 17th, 25. And that's how we got to here, and I guess now you want to tell us where you want to try to
Sure,
go.
I can kind of give you a quick highlight since the last time I was here last October. After we left that meeting, we had received the request for more information from the state as well about the same time frame. But Dan Enzing decided at that point we were going to change our engineering group at that time. And so we did, and Altus Engineering came on board with the project. When did you sign on finally?
I believe it was December of 2024.
Yep. So at that point, we had a lot to catch up on and go over plans and things of that nature. And so as we continued through, we didn't just want to come back with half put together plans or revised plans. So we asked for an extension from the DES, which is commonly done on large projects like that. So my only thing, and I apologize, is I had a death in the family right before the last meeting, and I just couldn't get things to you in time. So, but we're here today. Everything got submitted. I CC'd copy, trying to address all your concerns. And hopefully you'll agree that on the plans, we tried to address your concerns as well. As part of this, the other thing that you're going to see, as far as a quick highlight, is, originally when we went to the DES for our pre-application meeting, we were at 34,520 square feet. And when we put together the first round of plans for the impact, we really tucked it in with the wall and whatnot, and we reduced it to 28,418. But as you know, because of the silty clay soils, we have to do surcharging out there. And the last time I was here, I'm not an engineer, I know a little bit about it, but I wanted somebody more knowledgeable to talk about it with you guys. But also you're gonna note in the plans, as part of that the first initial plan set that we put in for the application, we included 7,636 square feet of temporary impact on the outside of that steel sheet piling retaining wall, and it was to be there long enough to help with the surcharging. When Corey and Altus came on board, they re-looked at it with Miller Engineering, and when you get to that plan, you'll notice it's not on the outside anymore, and we were able to drop our temporary impact back to 875 square feet, just really for access to construct the steel retaining wall, for access and sediment and erosion control there. And we'll talk about more as far as that goes when we get to that plan. The other highlight of the plan is the last time I was here, there was questions about doing some conservation land on site. And I talked with Dan and he was very open to it. And so the last page of that plans, we put on a proposed easement for discussion with you guys as well. We will also be doing the in lieu fee, but also be doing, it's 1.65 acres, which will tie in with the other easement that's there as well. Can you put up the plan?
Yeah. From the RFMI?
Yeah,
Sure.
yep.
I don't know where you want to.
Right there's good. You can see on those plans, the back side where you see the dark green, in the prior plan, that was where we had a big wide strip of fill that we were going to use to surcharge the internal part of the building. we were able to eliminate that, reducing it almost by 7,000 square feet of temporary impact. Next one. One of the things that Kristen Duclos had requested was the prime wetland to be delineated onto the plan. It's really off the site, only the very tip comes into the site, and on this plan you'll see that's the green back over there, and that's based on the town of Exeter's prime wetland definition. Next plan. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, Kristen. We also show, and we focus this plan with the state setbacks for the state permitting. We do have tonight, Corey's brought with him a plan with the town setbacks because we want to start to plan our timeline to come forward with the town as far as that goes. So you'll see on there all the normal tidal buffer, tidal HTL, highest observable tide line, all the shoreland impacts, the 50, 150, and 250. Next one, please. This was a temporary sediment and erosion control plan that will take place during construction and the surcharging. I know there was some concern about that, and so Corey put together a plan during the construction that shows some of the BMPs that will be in place during that construction.
If I can just say, this is preliminary, just because this project, if it does proceed as is, we are going to have to file for New Hampshire DES alteration of terrain permit. We're gonna have to go through site plan review, local site plan review with the town. We'll have to come back to this board again. But in general, these are, just through my experience doing these types of projects, these are standard best management practices that we typically use during construction for sediment and erosion control, prevent off-site runoff of construction water, to protect
Water
the
quality.
water quality discharge off-site. So these projects are there'll be a SWIP, it'll be AOT permitting. Typically, SWIPs are dynamic during construction because as construction moves, so do sometimes your BMPs move around. If you have a settlement pond that you're using, which we have one shown there, but during whatever phase of construction that could move to a different location. They could use the area where the proposed subsurface infiltration tanks would be going. They could create a pond there, use that during construction, and then wait till after they finish other phases of construction, backfill. So it's a dynamic project, but this is a general stormwater management plan that could be utilized during construction.
Next plan. So this is the new plan that shows the surcharging and how it's going to be accomplished, and I'm going to turn that over to Corey to talk about.
Okay. So, as mentioned, we weren't involved at the initial phase of the initial application. After we got on board, we worked with, it was SW Cole, who's the geotechnical engineer, Miller Construction and Structural, and Severino Construction, who it's anticipated that they will be the contractor for the project. And we all kind of, got our heads together and tried to look at different alternatives for constructing this site, minimizing the impacts, particularly that 1.5 to 1 slope on the back side that would, really you went from the top of the wall and extended back. It really extended. Again, it was over, I think, 7,000 more feet of temporary impacts within the wetlands. So, talking to Severino and the geotech, and I don't want to overstep my bounds on my expertise, I'm a civil engineer, not geotech or structural, but the intent would be to do like a drain mat with wick drains, on the bottom, so they insert the wick drains. Then they would preload on the sort of right in front of the wall. They basically would do a crushed gravel layers and wrap it with geotextile fabric, and basically do a layer, crushed gravel, build that up. Then as they build that up, behind it, they could start to preload the site on the backside of it. That would, they'll monitor that for settlement. The wick drains will, the soil they're anticipating, the soil is going to compress, get the water out of it. It would come up through the wick drains, out the matting, and really, it's a very, very slow process. I think there was a discussion about how's all that water, but it's inch per month, or I don't know what it is, but they'll monitor what that settlement is on the back side of the wall, build that up, and then really once they have established, they don't have any more settlement, the preload is completed, then they can come back in, put down the sheet pile, drill the sheet pile wall right in front of that crushed stone layer that they've built. As they've built that, they've also extended out their tiebacks. So then they'll tie that wall right into the tiebacks. That wall's there, connected, stabilized, and it's ready to go. So anyway, that's the intent for construction. Really minimizes any impacts on the outside. Almost all of the temporary impacts on the wetland side of the wall, and it seems like a pretty. To me, it seemed like a pretty good concept.
So Corey, for this is Portsmouth Ave, or this is Portsmouth Ave?
Portsmouth Ave is to the right.
Okay,
Yeah, wetlands to the left.
okay.
We can look at the next plan and come back for questions and stuff. Those are just the normal SEC BMPs that are shown on there. Next plan. So this is the plan where we took and we added about 1.65 acres of additional land that Dan Enzing would submit for conservation land. We would need a conservation easement holder. We would have to do quite a few things still, but this was the concept based on input from you guys the last time we were here. That's
Yeah,
all.
I just want to do all the questions at once.
Yeah, okay, that's the last plan sheet right there, right?
Okay,
All right, so we can
well,
go back and do questions.
all right, let's open it up to the board, and any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The project is pretty big. It's 28,000 square feet impact on wetlands, so I do have a concern about that. It looks like it's going to triple or quadruple that area there with the other dealer, the Volvo and the Kia. So that's one of my concerns. I had a question about your parking calculations. So the Volvo dealer, I think their building was 18,000 square feet, and they wanted 72 parking spaces. And this Kia one your building is 9,000 square feet with 161 parking spaces. So I'm just wondering about the calculation on that.
I can turn that over to Corey again.
All right,
Yeah, I mean, this is not a dealership, really, we've gone through this before, like, the parking spaces it's more of display. It's storage for their product, right? Their vehicle storage stalls. It's not, so parking calcs aren't the same as with a retail building, right? Where you have employees. This building in this addition is not going to, will probably have, you know, and I'm not, I don't have the exact numbers from Dade Auto, but I would, you know, just guessing, what, maybe 20 employees and maybe 10 visitors at a time, maybe 30 parking spaces total would suffice for the employees and visitors in this building. But it's an auto dealership, so they're going to have storage areas. I know that the Volvo dealership next door, they currently lease property down the street to store cars because they don't have enough storage on site for their inventory.
so they're
So,
gonna be using it too.
so well, it's the same ownership. I would imagine that there's going to be cross. Yes.
Because, I mean, from my perspective, I'd rather they keep that off-site parking, you know what I mean? And not really add it all into the wetlands, but
Yeah.
that's kind of it, that's just a side note.
Yeah, I mean, I think for them, that's part of the need for the project, is they don't have space for their inventory to keep, you know, and they need additional space, and they have another dealership to come in, Kia, and they're gonna need their own inventory, so there's,
Yeah, the dealership themselves dictate to the
Right, and
dealer
I-
owner what they need in order to
yeah,
hold
there's,
their,
from what I understand, I'm
dealership.
not,
yeah,
but the dealerships will tell you, you
Yeah.
need to have X amount of inventory for your dealership, and they have to keep that, you know, those
You
cars.
mean
So,
the-
yeah,
the
so right now, they're,
manufacturer.
yeah,
what's that?
yeah,
The manufacturer, in this case Volvo and Kia,
yeah.
Yes.
are dictating a certain amount of space.
Yeah, you have to have, yeah, so they're, again, right now, they're leasing property elsewhere to store their inventory because they don't have enough space on site.
And I'm working
that's-
on another site right now in Nashua for Tully, and they have GMC and BMW. And we're doing a wetland application for them for almost an acre of impact for the same issue. I mean, they have their inventory parked on slopes like this, under the lights and everything, and they've expanded the collision center. It is kind of incredible how much is going on in that department right now everywhere.
Well, I just, you know, I thought about pulling back some of that parking in some kind of, like, taking a look at options.
Yeah, and certainly, as we mentioned, like, when we have more detail, you know, we're gonna have to come back for site plan review to the town and to this board, this commission, to review our, you know, when we submit a site plan application, and we'll be back, you know, so we'll be able to have more detailed discussions on the site, and we'll have more detailed plans and information for that.
I've got a
as well.
question kind of related to that. And this might be out of our purview anyways, but how are they going to get auto transports in and out of that site? Because Stratham's run into that problem with a couple dealerships where they park right in the middle of the road.
Yeah, so right now they can pull in, it really comes in, if I can show, it comes in between right in here.
Yeah.
They come up, or they come down, they turn around and go this way. We would be able to come in through here, and we're trying to keep that turn so that they could come around and still use this site to do their, you know.
I mean, that's more a planning board issue, but I don't see making the turn at that back corner with those trucks.
Yeah, we'll have to run that.
I think
we
the
ran the.
radius was run on that.
Yeah, I think we ran the truck turning radius and tried to keep that pretty wide through there, but
Okay, well,
certainly
I
those
was
will
getting
be
a little off
issues.
track anyways, but it popped into my head.
And then I had a question about your wetland classifications.
Sure.
So on your 2024 application, there were basically two wetlands that were prime wetlands. And then on this application, which shows as a little green zone. So there are two of those, whereas in this application, that's changed and it's not anymore.
No, it hasn't changed at
Well,
all.
you can take
Yeah.
a look at what I've got
Yeah.
printed out.
What do you have printed out? Which
Well,
one?
come on, take a look. Because it's easier to show you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the prime wetland.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
this is also green, but it's not here. So,
I don't know why that's green on there, but this is showing where this merges with the brook right there. Because this is all drainage coming from DOT site and from the road. It comes underneath and goes right there.
well,
And it's off the property by a lot.
Is this what you're, I'm not sure what you're looking at. I'm
If
trying to
you-
up on
guess.
the top,
Zip it down a little, right here.
Can you
so,
say it again? I'm sorry.
so I guess my question is,
Why is this not, why is this title?
yeah, why
It's
is it?
still
this is
part
the
wetland
2020
1C.
This is 2024, right?
Yeah, that's not changed, that's still part of wetland 1C. But it's not prime wetland.
But it was marked that way in this one.
No, this over here is not a prime wetland map. This is the functions and values wetland
Yeah.
map where I labeled them, 1C,
Okay.
1B, and 1A.
Okay.
Okay? Two different maps.
But that is title, this, sorry, I'll take advantage of a pointer, but this section is title marsh.
No,
It's the same,
yeah, it
Color
is
and
right
label.
up over there, but remember, this was way off property. I didn't have permission to go out there and do anything out there, and it was totally away from the project. But this got all flagged, and then I flagged more to the edge right here. That is from the wetland that was done prior, and I included it in wetland 1C. This is not representative of prime wetlands. This is my function and value assessment. Here is the prime wetland that we delineated, that Kristen Duclos had requested.
yeah, I guess I just asked that, I know Kristen asked for a copy of the, sorry.
No, it's
You
okay.
guys, no, I'll chime in later.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to use a pointer,
Oh.
the green button there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it'll work on the
Yeah,
screen.
it's kind of like,
I
yeah,
don't.
Oh.
barely. Thank you, though.
Barely.
If it was red, I think it would have been.
And then, sorry, one more question.
No, go ahead, sure.
Okay. In your New Hampshire Coastal Viewer, when you looked at the sea rise conditions, how did you, like, what were your parameters for that? And I think we have that in,
It's not in there, I had submitted it separately.
okay.
Should
trying
be
to
a
keep
separate
up.
PDF.
go.
Yeah, there it is. We went into GIS and I believe one of your members had concerns about the 1 foot rise.
Right.
And we actually did the 1 foot and the 2 foot. And both of them do not impact the site. So we just go right on the DES website to go through it.
And that's for the life of the project.
50 years.
Is there a snow removal plan?
I haven't seen one. Did we do one for the parking lot? I think we talked about it initially.
I mean, certainly snow would not be dumped into overflow. I mean, that would be a condition that is not allowed for the site plan application. On the site plan application, we will address snow storage, snow removal areas for the site.
Connor, you got one?
Sure. I think it comes at a weird time, judging that we just saw the next door application come in. And I think a lot of their stormwater was going off to where, the north. I was just wondering what your plan was, because I think,
I don't know what sheet.
I don't know what sheet I'm on page 11. But it just looks like there's parking spots that are built over the basin that they were talking about like a month ago. So I didn't know if there was an update on what the plan is there.
Yeah, the plan would be to, where that base, right now, again, this is not fully designed, but because the whole site is going to be, I mean, there's 20 feet of fill, right? It's
Mhm.
it's a big fill site. So, there's a discharge pipe, there's actually, I think 2 discharge pipes that discharge into that existing pond. So picking those up and extending those out, and then as they're filling the site with the, on the, in the surcharge area, at a certain elevation, just say 10 feet up, they'll start to construct a, like a storm tech infiltration system, and then they'll build over that, and then they'll run those, run that pipe and run the drainage from the site over to those structures, over to that subsurface system. So, so really they'll build a new subsurface system, not in that same location, but over in the fill area off to the side of where the building is going to be, and have a, a new, those storm tech subsurface infiltration systems under the parking lot.
So
And that's, there's preliminary, we have it shown there. I have done some preliminary sizing on it. I've done the sizing for stormwater, water quality volume, but haven't run the, like the HydroCAD to compare, pre-development discharge, runoff rates to post-development. So sometimes, even though you meet the water quality volume, which that would meet the water quality volume, but sometimes we have to increase the size even more just because we're not getting the retention, and we have to slow down and discharge at a slower rate because we can't increase the discharge rate off site. So those will be more, again, when we go through AOT, that's going to be an AOT requirement. They're going to review our drainage calcs, and all of the drainage design for the site. So, but that's, to answer your question, that's the intent is to build a new subsurface system and extend those flows that are going to that existing pond will be rerouted to that system.
And then from that system, is it just infiltration, or will it be
It would-
discharge?
It would be infiltration. Again, we have to infiltrate and provide treatment for the water quality volume. Then there'd be an overflow discharge line, typically that would, discharge out. And right now we're showing just on the outside part of the wall, we have where the pipe would discharge, have some riprap, and then it would flow back down out to the wetlands.
I think I'm not a stormwater expert by any standard, so I'll
Yeah.
default to you. It just seems, I think the sticker shock for me is a lot. It's just a lot of impervious surface. So I don't really know the stormwater parameters for all of that, but I think as a commission, we generally see more like isolated wetland fill, that type of project, so it is just a little jarring at first.
No, it is a lot of impervious area. There's no question. So we'll have a significant system to manage that.
So I have one more curiosity one. I know we're early in like the permitting, but as far as starting with the standard dredge and fill, was there a reason for that as opposed to starting with like the AOT or starting with a local?
Well, part of the reason why we have new engineering, we were supposed to be doing it at the
Right, all
same
in
time with
tandem.
AOT, because I've already done the soil mapping and soil test bits and out there at the same time. So right now it's a little catch up, but we had the wetlands permit application in there, and Dan's paid the fee and done all the work. So at the same time, at this point, Corey has to begin finalizing the AOT stuff, and we're working on the same site plan review and coming back here with the wetland buffer impacts and things of that nature. So
I think I cut that off. Did I cut you off?
No. What's your impervious cover for the site? It's about 33%. Is that what I read somewhere?
I can have that number. I have never actually measured that.
The proposed impervious cover for the site?
I think it was in the original application.
Yeah, let me see if it's, I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, I have my application right here, and I don't remember. We usually wouldn't have them unless the engineer had it on the plan.
Yeah, it was.
Was it on there,
Yeah.
one of the original plans?
I don't know what my computer's showing, but it's not.
Well, what's the size of the lot? 2.5 acres?
The proposed size.
No, the lot. Or
Here it is.
just the proposed development?
Post-construction, 33.96.
And that's the percentage?
Yeah. Current is 6.1.
So I think it goes without saying, at least for me, that that's an area of concern, just the sheer amount of impervious.
One.
Do you realize?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Now, we did, I will say, we have reduced the impervious sum from that because there was, we did reduce the parking on extended over behind McDonald's and over close to that other wetland area. We pulled it out so that we were, they had extended it into, it did extend previously. That's the previous plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is the old TF Moran plan, and this is a wetland through here, and we pulled this parking out and significantly reduced it in this area because we were in to get it 100% out of the parking, no parking setback buffer, wetland setback buffer. So it is out. That part has been reduced. I don't know what the percentage is, but on new plan, just visually, you can probably see what we have done in that area. That it was pulled. That area was reduced. Yeah, if you zoom.
Sorry,
Sorry, yeah.
I lost it. There's
Yeah,
too
well-
many things.
Maybe go to the
Right
first
there,
plan.
right there it's good.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so that, you can see that the parking, was, this was pulled back. That previous one was coming way back into this area, so. Again, some reduction from that previous number, but I don't know the percentage.
I think we're usually looking for total at about 10% or so-ish for the site. Is that about right?
10% is where, kind of that threshold where they identify water quality impacts.
Which is, remember, this has to get an AOT permit as well as go through your site plan review with your engineer reviewing the plan as well. So all of that is considered as far as stormwater and water quality treatment as part of the process.
Mr. Chair, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are there alternatives to having that impervious surface? Could they look at innovative, I think, didn't that happen in the application across the street? Yeah, is that an alternative?
Like porous pavement?
Yeah.
There's alternatives, I know there are.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, there's, I don't want to get into it too much, maybe when the site plan review, but yeah, there's different methods, and porous pavement, is technically not considered impervious area, and it technically doesn't require treatment, therefore. So, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox to provide treatment to a site, whether you know, collect it from standard pavement and run it into, you know, and infiltrate it and treat it, or run it through a rain garden, and do different methods, or, you know, standard pavement or porous pavement, but then you know, in theory, you're just running it straight through the ground, straight into the sub base of the porous pavement. So there's options. I think there's a lot in the toolbox. A lot of issues with porous pavement are the longer term issues as far as maintenance and clogging and, you know, sanding, and, you know, just you got to vacuum it, you know, suction vacuum up the pavement to, you know, and then there's some issues, you know, I would not recommend it in sort of like the drive aisles where you're going to have heavy vehicles, because, you know, it's not a very good, in my application, we've seen rutting because it's not as structurally strong as standard pavement, but parking areas are where you're just going to be parking vehicles and not having that, you know, heavy vehicle traffic. Those areas are better options for those
It
innovative.
seems like a lot of what is showing up as is impervious pavement in this proposal, and I understand it's not final, is being driven by the requirement of increased inventory by the manufacturer.
Mhm.
And it would seem that would be an option. If it doesn't, obviously the treatment of the water is important, so there's a balance there that has to be struck. But that might be an option to meet some of this concern about over 30% impervious
Mhm.
pavement. And
Yeah, no, I think that is an option for particularly for inventory storage areas, right? Because
which is a lot of what's driving.
which is a lot of the volume. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Kristen, you have any?
So, I understand, you know, there's been some staffing changes associated with this project. Is there an ability for the applicant to request an extension to catch up with the other permitting procedures? So, and what I mean by that is, we're hearing a lot of this might change and that might change, and we haven't fleshed this out. And so I know it's atypical for us to move a project forward that way. Typically, the commission is acting on a wetland application, knowing basically where the treatment is, how, you know, that it meets our standards, et cetera. And so is there not a way to request from the state an extension to accommodate the catch-up in the other permitting processes?
Well, it's
Because-
actually already done. When you apply for your AOT permit, if the wetland permit is issued, you can't execute it until you get the AOT permit.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
I guess it just seems like it's an out of sync decision tree, right? So there could be changes through the town process, or the planning board, or the Concom through their buffer, conditional use.
Well, I think at that point, we just amend the permit. He's
Yeah.
had it in there and
Let me
it's
say it
very
differently.
costly.
Let me
Yeah.
say it differently. So it could be challenging for a board to say, sure, go ahead and fill that, but we might want to tweak it later after we've supported an application to fill it, right? And so it just,
Well, you
I
always
guess-
have that chance.
yeah, I guess
Kristen?
maybe just
Yeah.
answer the question, is it possible for an applicant to request an extension?
At this point, because it's been in there for a year, it's not normally done.
But is it possible?
I don't think it is in this case, and I think Dan has, you know, requirements from Kia or whoever it is that he shows due diligence. Now, let's remember something. The wetland permit, what we're permitting here is the footprint of the impact. I don't think that's going to change. The pavement might change to have a combo of porous pavement and whatnot. That's not going to impact the wetland application at all. But, you know, as far as it goes, if something happens and he goes through site plan and it needs to be tweaked, and we do this all the time, we just amend the wetlands permit because obviously he can't do it if he doesn't have local approval at
Yeah,
that
understood
point.
that part.
So,
And I guess the other thing that I'm kind of tangled up on, just big picture wise, is I think the Volvo expansion project flew through because people were like, oh, you know, you're efficiently using the property, you've minimized parking requirements, etc. And it feels a little bit like this is an extension of the parking needs for the Volvo expansion onto this lot with, you know, shared drive lanes. You know, you even talked about like movement of flow for car drop off, et cetera. And so I just wonder, is this really looking at holistically at the picture? And if it's possible to include both properties in this, is there not a more efficient design? So kind of it's being used as though they're contiguous and continuous properties. They're owned by the same property owner. To me, I just want to understand that there has been a strong look at alternatives considering both properties together. Or both, I know the current property has multiple parcels, but all of those together so that it's addressed holistically.
well, I think it was, and you'll notice in the first application in the discussion that currently at that point, you know, Volvo had some untreated stormwater.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
this plan takes care of that and actually makes it more environmentally conscious by grabbing some of that stormwater that comes on. Plus, we have the redirection of the current stormwater basin that's on that lot right there that'll be incorporated into the system there.
Yeah, so that's
So-
exactly my point.
Mhm.
You've already talked about cross-parcel treatment. Let's actually look at all of the parcels and say, what is the least impactful alternative here?
And that's what we did, and we met with the Army Corps of Engineers and the DES right away. Because for us, again, it started with, do we want that whole infrastructure pushed back where there's more upland? We can reduce the impact fee by doing that. But we're closer to high-value and high-functioning wetlands in the prime wetland. Prime wetland buffer is 100 feet. So realistically, that whole thing can be pushed right back to 100 feet. But that's not what the DES wanted. That's not what the Army Corps of Engineers wanted. And it made sense to me that impacting the lower quality wetlands up front over less wetlands in the back near the higher functioning value system. In the old days, it was all about the square footage, but now we're looking at functions and values.
Yeah, understood. So
Yeah.
when you met with the state
Mhm.
and the Army Corps, you looked at all of those parcels together?
Yeah, you saw, when we came conceptually, you saw the plan, and at that point, we had proposed 34,000, almost 35,000 square feet of
Just to
impact.
clarify, I mean this parcel as well as the development that's proposed for here.
The existing Volvo was shown. It's a different
Was that
parcel, it's
before
a
the
different
addition?
dealership.
Was it before the addition to Volvo?
Well,
It was before the addition,
Yeah.
it had to have been, because that was recently,
was
but
just
that, the
recent.
addition, and it did, we were the applicant for, worked with them on the applicant, that was, and, you know, it was really a building going in a parking lot, so there's no increase in impervious. However, with that building, we did, and you probably know that we were capturing a lot more of that, the impervious from that site and treating it, and treating it with this site. With this application, we're doing the same thing, and this is really looking at those two lots together for stormwater management. So all of the stormwater treatment, it will be a combination of the existing lot, this lot, and there's a third small little lot there as well. But combining that all together for stormwater management.
Yeah, I get the feeling that there are loose ends here. And even though you might be running up against a bit of a deadline, this has been floating out there for a long time. And if an extension is possible, I would love to see it get it and come back with complete answers to these questions.
I think one of the things, and I'll let you
Yeah.
speak next. Certainly as the owner, this is a very significant application. I mean, you can see the original application is a for the wetland permit is a book, right? And Cindy spent a significant amount of time on it. And to your point, a lot of times when we're doing applications, we're submitting them concurrently. The wetlands and the AOT are sort of going beside each other, and you have a full detailed design. But what if they go through full detailed design for the AOT and for the site plan application, and then they don't get the wetlands permit? There's a significant cost to that. So I think what we've done a lot of preliminary design. We've sized a system. We've looked at the stormwater. We've looked at both sites. We've tried to look at everything and how this is going to work. We've done numerous projects, and this is going to go through AOT. We're going to have to get a review
Well, I
from
understand
them.
that, but we typically don't approve or disapprove of a preliminary design.
Right, and I don't think that's what we're asking for an approval on this project. This is not, this is,
Well, you want a letter to go to the state, though, saying that we support it.
You're
I-
saying it's not preliminary. It was what your point was.
what's that?
Well, no, he did say it was a preliminary,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
correct?
So, I mean, we have not submitted a full site plan application. We have not submitted the New Hampshire DES AOT application. But I guess what I was saying was that, we are going to have to submit that. We are going to come back to this board with those applications. This application, as Cindy has indicated, is really for the footprint of the impacts for DES. And whatever after that, we're gonna have to stay within that footprint. But we're still gonna be back to this board for a site plan approval. It's just, as the owner, again, there's significant costs in doing all of these various designs and design phases. And, again, what if DES did not, they didn't get this permit, then all of that other work is for naught because.
Connor, you're probably more versed in this than anybody here. Going back to the question you had before about the treatment of the runoff, that still seems like it's kind of in flux, how that's going to take place.
We know how, we're gonna do an infiltration system, we're gonna do a subsurface infiltration system in the, we don't, we've sized the system, we've done preliminary calcs, but we don't have the full modeling, we don't have we don't have it completely done, right? So, again, I feel like we know what we're doing, and what we're representing is what we know that the design is going to be. Will the system get a little larger? Will it get it? Maybe, but this is the system that we're looking at doing, right?
And again, you can't execute the wetlands permit without your AOT permit. So the final sizing, like you said, might be smaller, although you have one calc already, so it
Right.
probably won't be smaller,
And-
but it might get a little bigger.
Now, if we've got comments, if we come back at site plan review and we make, that big parking lot on the right-hand side is now an impervious pavement, porous pavement, then that system actually might get smaller, right? So we've got trade-offs on what we do, but this is.
But the impact to the wetland's not gonna change
Correct.
because it was sized for the amount of parking that was needed, the traffic that goes through, the turn radiuses, emergency. That was all looked at during the design in the beginning of this.
I think what we're feeling is if we say yes to, or write a letter that is of favor of this, that the next thing is just local permits and they all come in line and we don't have a chance, or at least this is my concern, then we wouldn't have a chance when we're at a local level because I won't say, you will present the evidence that we already approved this project and that we can't really change it from here on out. So I feel like
your
the law kind of
concern
rides on
is
it.
Your local,
At least me personally.
yeah,
Approving, it's always like, chicken or the egg, approving going with the state and then us saying, yes, this looks good, then you can come back and say, well, you already said it looked good for the state. And then I think, at least personally for me, I like seeing it local permit first and then we get all these kinks out. And then by the time the state comes, we just roll with the CUP that's approved.
it's done, all different ways all the time. In this case, the time and effort was done for the permitting side of things, just the application fee alone.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was, but it was, I think, $20,000 something. I can check in my application. And so, as you drive along and you're putting all the time and effort and answering the questions and doing additional work to answer the RFMI, and Dan has his due diligence in order for the new dealership to go, we're playing against time. At the end of the day, even if they get their state wetlands permit, there's no guarantee that it's going to get site plan approval. If and it does, and it changes the wetlands, and that can go either way, more impact or less impact, then we have to amend the plan. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it at that point. They can't execute it if it's not approved.
Certainly, we will be back with a conditional use permit application for all the, because, again, a lot, this site's still
looking
looking.
for a recommendation from this board to the planning board, just to be clear.
Yeah,
The planning board takes it up.
yep.
This board
Correct.
makes a recommendation.
Correct, yeah. We
That
will be
was
back.
slightly misstated earlier. Could I speak? My credentials as a person that backs business whenever I can in this town is sterling. I think this is a bridge too far. I do not think you can recommend this. That's my personal opinion. I don't have a vote, but hearing the qualms that you folks have, it's too early for you to recommend it, and I think you put it just right. If you did, you'd be trapped down the line. And I hear enough concerns here that I think you need to not recommend it at this point.
Yeah, I would second that.
Yeah, I'm not making a motion, I'm just making,
No,
I'm offering my opinion as your select board rep.
Yeah.
Hearing your deliberations, I know that you bend over backwards to try to accommodate these applications and support them when you can. I don't think you can on this one. I think the impacts are so huge.
Well, it's not a matter of not ever, it's just a matter of not now.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and completely understand your position because you don't have final site plan application with the final, the AOT application with the drainage calcs and all of that information. I would just say that maybe one thing that you could do is just not object to the project and wait until, and note that, you will, if you make a recommendation, it would not be until local permits are submitted and you get to review the final design for the project, something to that effect. But
I do think that you've expressed enough concerns, choose to not object to the application, but I think you should share what those concerns are, if that's the path you're going down.
So I would just remind you guys that you've had 2 letters to the DES that we've addressed everything in, and tonight's concerns have not been mentioned before. And your 40 days is far up.
I'll just reply to that, to not put the board on the spot,
Mhm.
but there was not an engineer present. I do still have some questions about the surcharging plan. Maybe we could talk about those next, but, so that's probably why you're hearing different questions, you know?
Well, I understood the surcharging, but really that didn't have a lot to do with the wetland impact per se, especially since it got changed, the temporary impact.
I don't think fully it's what we need to do here.
Yeah.
May I skip to the surcharge plan if the board?
Well,
Is okay with
if
that?
I could speak,
Yeah.
and this may or may not be appropriate, but I have a recollection about that previous meeting. I attended that. And there was not the level of detail in that meeting that there is tonight. I think Altus coming on board has definitely added more detail, so.
Right, which is why Altus came on board, in particular for the surcharging point.
But,
Eh,
go ahead,
sorry.
please.
I guess, I also think that we tried really hard to work with the businesses. However, I personally cannot approve this. And I personally would deny this to the state because it's so massive. And I think then the impervious cover is so big, and I think it would affect water quality. That's going to be my position. So, and my apologies for that.
Certainly understand. I do have a question for you, because in order to proceed, we're either going to go all in lieu fee or we'll do in lieu fee with that conservation area. Is that something you expressed? I think it was you that
It
expressed
was me,
interest in.
yeah.
If the board is not interested in it, then we will just go full forward. But there's things that I have to get done if you're interested in that easement area. I have to do conservation easement documentation. Would you guys be willing to hold that easement, or do you have somebody else that you recommend? I can't remember who holds the easement near there. I think you guys do, don't you?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do you know, Kristen?
I would need to double check, but my memory is that it's deed restricted versus a conservation easement, but I'd need to double check that. Either that or it was, Rockingham County Conservation District.
I'll
I
double
don't
check.
believe it's the
I
town.
didn't recognize, I thought it was locally.
Yeah. But that does.
Because it
warrant
does
double check.
extend onto the lot next door to it too, the green one.
Mhm.
But is that something that you're interested in keeping? Talking about loose ends.
Well, I'm not sure how that would work.
If you show that you're interested in an easement, are you thinking it shows that you're approving the project? Well, it's all part of the long-term kind of negotiation of how the project goes. If you decide the next time that you approve the project, it's kind of late in the game to get all the documentation done and everything for it. So I'm trying to get the ducks in a row to finalize the details. And all I need to know is if you're interested or not.
I say interested, but not gonna let it drive our actions.
It's not gonna let you drive your actions, it's just gonna allow me to know what I need to do.
Yep. Well, based upon what I've heard, seems like what you need to do is get an extension from the state.
I think I have to talk to my client, but I think he's been waiting and very anxious to move forward, so, and if Kristen
we've
has
accommodated-
everything she needs to
We've been
approve
very
it.
accommodating, waiting for this process to move along.
I can't say that we're gonna ask for an extension, not without talking to my
Okay.
client, so. And tomorrow's the last day of the review for the DES. She has to have a response tomorrow.
Right. Is that gonna be possible? for a response?
I can document what you state tonight in
Yeah.
a memo. Mhm.
Does anybody want to tackle the verbiage in the motion? We'll take suggestions.
We're looking across the table here.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'll try a motion. You ready?
All
Yeah.
set.
Okay. We've reviewed this application and recommend that the application be, these are, this is pre-written, but yeah. Okay, we have reviewed this application and recommend that the application be denied as concerns have yet to be addressed, final design and concerns with avoidance and minimization.
And water quality, is that in there?
Sure can be. And water quality, so that would be 3.
What are the 3 concerns?
I would say we would hope for a more finalized stormwater design. I guess that kind of addresses the stormwater quality, is where I was falling on that.
Impervious cover?
Yep. Impervious cover would be in the kind of avoidance and minimization, I think. No?
Oh, I'm just trying to,
I made a face at that one.
sorry. No, that makes sense.
So we reviewed and recommended that it be denied as noted below based on the review of the avoidance and minimization, specifically the impervious, the final design stormwater treatment, specifically noting the stormwater quality. Anything else?
Are they concerned about the size of the fill? Or is that avoidance and minimization?
I was just kind of looping it in my mind, but yeah, we can say it more based on.
The size of the project or the size of the fill?
It's massive. And
Yeah.
I understand why it's being requested. I understand what's driving it, but it is massive.
Yeah. And then we also had some questions about that other alternative designs might be possible. I don't know whether that should even be in there.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, never mind.
I think it's muddy. Yeah.
Yeah, better to stay simple if you can.
Yeah.
Do you wanna, we're workshopping this at the
Right,
moment.
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah, we don't have a final motion.
Are you working it out, Connor? Or do you want?
I am.
Okay. I don't want to repeat to
Yeah.
confuse.
I'm gonna address the chair. Your board, your conservation commission is doing a great job tonight. Just, I want you all to know that.
Thanks.
Good job.
Good job, Dave.
All of you.
Is it worth asking the surcharging questions while we're,
Yeah,
Here,
I'm
you
brand.
can-
I guess-
And I'll
Yeah.
speak to my ability. Again, I'm not the
surcharging
geotech
plan.
or the structural engineer for the project. I am the
I
civil
guess-
engineer, so there's a little, but I don't want to overstep my bounds on my expertise.
So I guess just in looking at the surcharging plan for when you come for local permit, surcharging stormwater management during the surcharging phase, it's very unclear to me what is happening at what stage, right? So we have the full project overlain on this, and yet this is indicating the phase of the surcharging. So it's unclear to me, like, is this entire area grubbed with exposed soils? And if so, then the only thing
between that grubbed area is the sediment control or organic filter berm. So I just I don't understand it from this. What's happening when? Like, it doesn't feel like a phase plan. It looks like already built out, and this is showing where the surcharging is happening. Is that right? Am I reading it wrong? That's what
Right,
this
right.
plan
So-
was indicating?
Yeah, I mean, this is a stormwater, the stormwater management, what the-
So is
Sediment
this
erosion
the
control
only
plan.
surcharging plan?
the only surcharging
Yeah,
plan.
there's not a plan view, there's just the profile.
Correct.
So I guess the questions that are swirling for me is like, what is happening what is happening in this area and in terms of soil exposure and all of that, just for when you do come back for local permits? It's very confusing to me from.
Right. Certainly, yes. They would clear and grub clear the site. They would grub. They would grub the area. You know, I would defer to the geotech on what the limits of that the drain mat would go under. You know, it's going to be based on the limits of the compressive soils that's in the geotech report. But they would, you know, and it's predominantly down in that lower end, the northern portion of the site is my understanding. That's where you have the higher clay soils that really they need to do the wick drains and get that settlement. They come in, they build that, start building that, call it the wall, the basic, you know, the crushed gravel wall, start building that on, you know, just in front of where that retaining wall is. The site's cleared, they'd have the mat, then they start loading, start doing their preloads. And as they preload, they're monitoring settlement, right? And then they just keep, you know, as they get the site stabilized, they can add another layer. They keep building it up. They're draining, and they're basically preloading that portion of the site where they have the most compressive soils again, which is most of that northern portion of the site. I don't know. I mean, certainly I don't know where it ends exactly, but you know, as you get closer to Portsmouth Ave, there's you know, you wouldn't need to do it there. I would guess it's close to the property line, you know, the back of where the McDonald's is, probably right under, back to where, you know, under the footprint of the building.
I think it would help to just have it in plan view when
So-
it comes back in some.
Yeah, so, and again, that's,
With the contours, because I just don't get it.
yeah, so,
But-
and again,
Food for thought.
these are, this is a big site, right? This is a big project. But if we don't get the wetlands permit, and if we're not allowed to impact X amount of square feet, there's no design, right? So and I understand both points of view. I understand yours. I understand the owners, that if we don't have a wetlands permit, we don't have a project. So I don't want to spend 50, 80, whatever the cost is. I know cost is, but I don't want to proceed with. I don't want to spend the money on the design when we don't have a project. So there's a little bit of both. We've tried to give, you know, an accurate representation of what will be done, but and again, a lot of these questions will come through with the site plan application. We're going to be here again, right? We're going to have wetlands permit, you know, wetlands buffer impacts, projects where we would definitely be here. All of the water quality, we have to meet state water quality concerns. You know, we're doing treatment and retention on site. We have to meet those requirements. We've sized it, the system, but anyway, yeah.
I just was trying to buy
it.
some time for Connor to.
Kristen, can you just put down that plan to the one before it? Yeah. The best thing to remember is that steel retaining wall is going across that whole side of the site, and everything is going to be, besides the other
Yeah.
BMPs, that is going to contain everything.
Right.
And so
then-
I see that, right, Cindy, and I see, here's the tree line, the proposed
Yep.
tree line. So this area, I presume, would be grubbed. This ties into like the 25-foot contour, whereas the contour, and I don't know if it's visible on here, is much higher. So how, it just doesn't seem to work for me in how this is laid out.
You mean how it ties into the natural contours at that
So
point?
if you're grubbing soil here, right, and this is a slope, right,
Mhm.
what's protecting runoff from an
And
area
that-
that we already know?
Yeah. In that case,
That we all,
they plan on using the sediment and erosion control saw.
yeah, I don't see that.
It's,
So-
go on to the other, right in front.
There's a little-
Down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a toe
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Right, but along the top of the contour, like where?
That they'll
That'll
be
run
bringing
along that whole back,
Yeah, they'll be bringing that right
along the whole
up.
back edge of
Yeah.
of the site. We'll have sediment
So the
control
Well, we're
there.
talking about a V, right? We're talking about a V here, and so, what? I don't get it. So, I don't know. I would just advise maybe having a plan view version of what you're doing with the contours so that this is depicted in its phases so that we can be sure that stormwater is being accounted for. Yes, you make changes as things happen throughout the process, and I understand that, but
Yeah.
I just feel like stuff just doesn't seem to jive quite right.
That's a
Connor.
steep slope there. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
That's a steep slope there. I imagine that's gonna go hit right into the
it'll-
slope there. Yeah.
Tie into that slope.
Do you know approximately how many yards of cubic fill that's gonna be, more or less?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
we know that, but how many truckloads? You know, I'm just trying to visualize what,
Hundreds.
like 200 or 500 or 100? What do you think?
I don't want to jump. I don't want to.
Just a rough, I mean, I won't hold you to it, just kind of curious of what your thoughts were on that.
Probably
With a 12-yard
300,000 yards.
truck.
300,000, is that in the ballpark, you think?
That seems high.
Well, it's roughly 30,000 square feet. And then take an average depth, call it 10 feet, because you're going from 0 basically to 23.
Yeah, 23 feet, right, so if each truck holds 20 yards, right? That's a lot of trucks on Portsmouth Ave.
Yeah.
Do you experience in landscape?
Yeah. So, I just, any rough guess at all for the cubic yardage?
Well, let
I mean,
them get back to it.
yeah, if you could sort of get that, I would appreciate it, thank you.
Connor, what do you got?
Yeah, so there is a motion still on the table, and I apologize. So, I motion that we've reviewed this application and recommend that the application be denied as listed below. And then there's 3 points. So 1, site is in preliminary stormwater treatment system design. There are concerns of stormwater quality throughout each phase of construction. Number 2, concerns of the site design in regards to minimization and avoidance of wetland impacts. Number 3, concerns in regards to the overall impervious surface amount and the impervious surface site percentage. That's all I got.
All right. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that. It sounded pretty good.
Does anybody want to discuss it further? Okay.
I would encourage you to, so you're making that concern that it doesn't meet the state regulations because of those reasons.
Yes.
I think that's an
Do you wanna
important
say that?
component.
Mhm.
So you should withdraw your motion and you should withdraw your
I
second.
withdraw my second.
I withdraw my motion. Where do you want to add that it's for state, per state regs?
That it be not denied on concerns that, I forget what you said, it does not meet state wetland criteria, wetland permit criteria because of
and then your list. Or state regulations.
It'd be denied that it does not meet state wetland regulations as listed below. State wetland rules is listed below. PMP is listed
Can you
below.
read the beginning again? I'm
We
sorry.
have reviewed this application and recommend that the application be denied as it does not meet the state.
With regard to the following concerns. Does that make sense? I just feel like tying it back to the state permit is important because I don't want it to be misinterpreted that you're just concerned about local regs.
Yeah, so we have this application, recommend that the application be denied as it does not meet state. I think we have to say like state permit rules with regard to the following concerns. Okay, can I try a third time's the charm? We'll see. I won't talk fast on this one. We have reviewed this application and recommend that the application be denied as it does not meet the state permit rules with regard to the following concerns. There's 3 concerns. Site is in preliminary stormwater treatment system design and there are concerns of stormwater quality throughout each phase of construction. Number 2, concerns of the site design in regards to avoidance and minimization of wetland impacts. Number 3, concerns in regard to the overall impervious surface amount and the impervious surface site percentage.
And did you say that was impacting water quality?
I said concerns of stormwater quality.
Okay.
All right.
That's all good.
It's, yeah.
So that's your motion?
That is my motion.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Connor's motion is approved.
So,
Was that your gavel?
Yes, it was.
I'll prep a letter to the state and have you sign it tomorrow.
Okay.
I had one other question for you. So that's exactly where the lane comes down from 2 lanes to 1. And all those, I want to make sure we have some answers for a plan for that when you come back, if that's possible. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
we'll
tight spot.
run all of the truck turn movements, and we'll have the auto turn plans, and we'll have that, like, with a full application, I guess, pending we do come back, that we would have all that information. The site
Thank
plan
you. I
application.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Give me something to carry.
Any committee
I'll
reports?
take that for California.
So, property management, Rains Barn, we're making progress. Steve's work is complicated, I've shared this before, Keith has experienced it. You know, in person now, so we have filed a request for an extension from LCHIP. Hi. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I was just
oh,
gonna
okay.
hang.
Oh, okay, go. Julia Lamb.
I am the new library director. I've never been to one of your
That's
meetings, so.
wonderful.
Welcome.
thank you for accommodating us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so we have requested an extension from LCHIP. I haven't heard yet if it will be granted. He does anticipate completing, that last conversation, completing the clapboards this season. The concern is the final coat of paint, which requires him to leave the scaffolding up. And so through this winter and into the early spring, there will still be scaffolding present. Just wanted to update you on that. One remaining component is an ADA accessible ramp to access the barn. I know that we do have some grading and some additional fill needed in the area to improve the, the condition of the entrance ramp. But I was able to find for $150 a foldable ADA compatible ramp, and so I would request that you support that purchase with this year's funds. So if you're supportive of that, I would appreciate approval of that through the Conservation Land Administration.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes unanimous.
And then I know the commission doesn't have any outreach events currently in the queue, but I did want to share, December 1st will be a public information session, or a public listening session on design alternatives for Swayze Parkway as part of our coastal resilience grant. So we received a grant to look at different resilience designs for the parkway, things like elevating, walkways, or, the gamut is pretty wide of what we could consider out there. And so we're at the early stages of coming up with ultimately 3 options for the public to weigh in on. And so we have our first session on December 1st.
What time is
At
it?
6 o'clock,
6?
and that'll be at the Sequoia School of Technologies. It's like, I think it's Lydia's Kitchen. It's the dining area. And so we are hoping to have some breakout sessions in association with that, not just a presentation on the sea level rise scenarios that we have for the parkway. And so if anyone from the commission is willing to kind of be at a table and be a note taker, maybe we're still working out the approach for facilitation, but maybe, help a little bit to keep your group on task, I would really appreciate it. So please reach out to me separately. But we could use some more bodies to help with that.
I've got it on my calendar, I'll be there.
Great. So that was outreach. And that, again, that's December 1st at 6 o'clock at SST. And then, as you know, the window dressers program is ongoing. The last day to order inserts is November 30th. We're over our anticipated number of inserts that we plan to build, but when windows are measured and people see the price, sometimes the number drops. So we're still leaving the order window open. And through that, in January will be our community build over Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. So we'll be sending out volunteer opportunity signups for that.
It'll be at the town hall.
At the town hall.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's actually the 15th through the 23rd or 22nd.
But you do have the queue full as of right now.
We still want to,
Create a little bit
it
of
can
a waiting
almost
list.
drop by like a third. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so we still, in order to reach our build goal, we still,
Based on last year's
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
an experience with window
So
dressers.
you're not really building a
Reach
waiting
them.
list,
No,
you expect to be
A
able
lot
to
to drop.
accommodate
Yep.
everyone that can sign up.
Yep.
Got it.
I think that's it.
All right. One thing I would like to do is, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but Dan Longcoat, he's an Exeter resident, and he organized a group of, there's been anywhere from 8 to 10 guys. Who's that?
Do you know?
Oh, jeez. Of 8 to 10 guys.
Still on it.
No, it's not.
He's saying hello.
Oh, Charlie.
That threw you off your stride, Mr. Chair.
Well, I guess.
You only took.
Okay, no, he's a friend. Anyways, Dan organized a group of guys to do a bunch of bridge building, and he's held 4 sessions so far, and they've probably put in at least a couple hundred hours in sum total. You know, working on like a Saturday or a Sunday. And they've also bought and had donated, last I knew, it was $700 to $1,000 of material. So anyways, if you're out in the woods, you're going to see a lot of bridges that have been upgraded, replaced, that were rotted and stuff like that. So just thanks to all those guys that have been doing
Excellent.
that.
Very cool.
You know. That's all I have. Is that it? All right, we've got some minutes to approve from the October 14th meeting. Everybody have a chance to look them over?
Oh, you haven't had it?
Yes, so the category for the funding approval that was listed was incorrect.
Oh,
I know it's minor, but, I don't know. It's fine.
No, get it right.
Okay.
Here's the draft minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not gonna be easy to find. I don't know if anyone has them in front of them by chance.
I'm racing you.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think you might win.
don't think so.
It's the
You have
10-14 meeting.
Yeah,
well, just what was the entity that needed to be substituted?
I don't know. It was the category, it was, oh, I know what it was. It was listed in the minutes as coming from the conservation fund, and that was not accurate. Conservation fund is very different from town allocated annual budget. The approval was for conservation land administration.
Okay.
It's line 183.
Thank you. You got it.
So what is the current,
So-
what's the current verbiage?
It is Mrs. Whitehouse's motion to approve $50 to come from the conservation fund for
And
sign
it-
aids.
And it should read,
It's a quiz.
To come from conservation land administration, town allocation.
All right. Noting that one edit, make a motion to approve the minutes from October
14.
14th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, our next meeting is the 9th of December with a submission deadline of 12/1/25. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.